Okay, welcome to the Public Utilities Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. Roll call.
Okay, Joyce Hall,
Here.
Pat Nolan,
Here.
Susie Corum, Dave Preisel, Scott Snyder,
Here.
and Thomas Bystricky.
Stricky here.
Bystricky, I am so sorry.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
Eventually, yeah.
Okay, so we do have a quorum, so we can move on.
Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes.
I'll move approval of the prior month's meeting minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, any corrections? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. New business. All right, pay app number 6 for Pembroke for the North Street project.
So in your packet, you have pay application number 6 in the amount of $55,933.10. This will pretty much wrap up most of this project. If you go through the financials on this, we are retaining that we'll be retaining $76,228.75 as part of our 5% retainer to when the project would be finalized and actually closed out later next spring, once we get our well, unless we move it sooner. It's done. So it just depends on when the contractor would request the retainage on that. There's just a couple minor little things that don't amount to 76,000, so it won't surprise me if next month we do get a request for the part or for that retainage. So but this pay application is like I said, in the amount of, let me get back to it, $55,933.10.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 And any opposed? Motion passes. Pay app number 5, Final Lake Malibu Crossing.
So again, it's in your packet. This is in request amount of $81,275.37, which includes that change order that we discussed last month. The quantities are accurate, and the original, we actually came in about $4,300 less than the original budget amount on this project. So this will close out this project with the final pay app on here. We are not retaining any retainage on that, so we would be looking for a motion in the amount of $81,275.37.
We have a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Action on proposed 2025 wastewater budget.
Okay, so in your packet, I did put at the beginning of each water and the wastewater and the water sections in here before you actually get to the budget itself. I did put in some highlights. So if you can look at that page, right now we're talking about wastewater. So the 2025 wastewater budget highlights, we're projected revenues of $3,500,317. The proposed expenses are $3,490,048, which leaves us a balance at the end of the year of $10,269. Some of the proposed, I put in some of the bigger proposed things that hit our budget almost on a yearly basis. So when you actually go through the budget, there's not a whole lot on the wastewater side that we have in terms of playing with getting stuff done. We have money, don't get me wrong. But just some of the bigger payments are your principal debt. That's part of that wastewater treatment plant rehab that we finished up. That's a $775,000 yearly payment that we make. Our payments in lieu of taxes is $65,000 that I can find. I believe it's more than that, but that's what I found. Our sludge costs down in Ellsworth to haul all of our sludge down to Ellsworth and have it treated down there is a $615,000 yearly expense. And the sewer share of our meters, which we use to generate our bills off of is $95,000. And just on the bottom there, I do have a note. The budgets do not include cost share of the proposed service center additions for each department. And then number 2 is with water, so I'll get to that when we get there. And the budgets must be to council before November 11th for adoption with the general fund budget. So there wasn't a whole lot of changes from this year or from last 2024 to 2025. What I am proposing to you. You can kind of just go through. There's some manhole repairs in there that we put in, some lift station repairs, some valve repairs that we're looking at. We are looking at seal coating the wastewater treatment plant driveway next year, just because it's new and it's due. You know, we'd rather do that then, or do it now than when it gets bad. There is some RAS pumps, some air compressors, some SCADA upgrades that we did put in. That's pretty much it for that. So with everything said and done, we are looking at about a $10,269 surplus in the wastewater budget. So I don't know if there's any questions on the wastewater budget or anybody wants to discuss anything that was in there. You know, another big item that we do is, you know, our depreciation, that's $450,000. So you can see there's a lot of big ticket items that we do have to budget for on a yearly basis.
Kip,
I have a question.
yeah, I just have one question.
Sure.
Kip, anything, I mean, you list off a lot of things that are included. Anything that gives you heartburn that kind of fell below the cut line that you couldn't get to, that's kind of rises to number 1 next year or number 2?
Well, there's always expenses out in the system, you know, that we try to account for. You know, a lot of the stuff that I account for, like manhole repairs, lift station repairs, things of that nature, you know, it's just the nature of the beast. Is something going to go wrong? Is it not?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So I try to prepare, you know, for that. Lift station repairs, I believe this year, you know, I budgeted $10,000, for example, for that. We've actually spent about $1,100 this year. So,
Sure.
you know, that's kind of the catch where you have to budget for the stuff, which takes away from other things that we could do. But by the end of the year, if we're not using some of that money, we will just reappropriate that money elsewhere, you know, to try to make that up. But no, I don't have any heartburn over any of this. I'm happy with the budget. It came in, you know, where we were hoping it was going to come in. So no, I really don't have anything, you know, heartburn wise this year, Scott.
All right.
If we keep reminding people not to flush the flushable wipes,
Yeah.
That's always a great reminder.
that's the big
Yep.
thing. Keep reminding the people.
Yep, because
Apparently they've been better.
that does cost money, you know, every time we have to pull pumps and, you know, things of that nature when the staff are out pulling pumps and different things like that. So, yeah, that's always a good reminder. Thanks, Pat.
So, you've got a payment in lieu of taxes for both the wastewater and for the water budget. Are
Correct.
those for the city?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Those are payments directly back to the city.
And what do those cover for the city?
Yeah, you'd have to ask the city.
Okay.
They go in your general fund. So payment in lieu of taxes is it's basically us paying taxes, but it's just not called property taxes. So it's a payment in lieu of taxes. So it's a payment to general fund that we make on a yearly basis.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other discussion? So let's start with the wastewater budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
Come on, somebody step up.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. And remember that we can always amend these budgets as needed.
Right.
All right, so the water budget.
So again, in your packet, you do have another sheet in there and it's highlighted in blue, the 2025 water budget highlights. We're projected a revenue of about $4,625,500. Proposed expenses of $4,075,110 with a remaining balance of $550,390. In this budget, we are proposing wells 3 and 9 and booster station number 1 in the village are due to be pulled and repaired or rehab next year. We do wells every year, and these are the next ones that are in line to get pulled, looked at, and re-put back in and put back online. We are looking at standby generators for wells 4 and 5. We did have some generators in this year that we did for the wastewater department. We also had some in for number 4, well number 5 this year in the 2024 budget, but I don't think we're going to be getting to it, so I just kind of carried that over. Well rehab at building number 3, building exterior. We are looking at that building is starting, it's a brick building. It's starting to get some stress cracks in it and things of that nature. So we want to have that looked at next year. Our payment in lieu of taxes is roughly $500,000. And our annual meter reading fee for all of our software and things like that to read our meter is about $30,000. And again, under the notes, the budgets do not include the cost share of the proposed service center additions for each department, which we will be talking about next month. And the water budget does not include the rehab of Deer Path Water Tower that we're starting on now with the carriers, and that's my guess was approximately $700,000 for that. So that is not in the budget. Those will be ones that we can cover. But I just don't have them in the budget. Otherwise, as soon as I start putting all that kind of stuff in there, we go to the red immediately.
Was the water tower, the Deer Path Water Tower, was that in the 2024 budget?
No,
Okay.
It's a 2025 project, but we're starting it now. If you look at that tower in North Hudson, the Deer Path Tower, it's the furthest one to the north. If you look at that, there is a lot of carriers on that tower. Every carrier that's out there is on there. So they need about 6 months to get their stuff off and moved and temporary set up on the site right next door. We're actually using the baseball field area over there is where you're going to see the temporary. You'll actually, if you drive by now, you'll see it where they've already started that. So they need time to get move everything off of the tower, put it on temporary, so they can continue to serve. So that's kind of why we're starting it all now. We'll be getting soon. We'll be getting that sent out for bids, and then it'll be coming back to this committee for approval on what bid we want to go with at that point. So
where does the $700,000 for that come from?
That'll come from our reserves. Comes out of our reserve accounts.
Okay.
And you'll see those later in the meeting here.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do I have a
Just
motion
for my own education, does the wastewater budget and the water budget, you have a surplus of 10,000 with your wastewater budget and you have a surplus of over $500,000 with your water budget. Do they ever commingle
No.
or mix? They're
No,
always
they-
completely separate.
Yeah, they can't.
Okay.
By law, they can't. And by law, they're not allowed to be used through general fund or anything like that. Yeah,
Okay.
we're a completely separate entity, or both water and wastewater are completely separate from the general fund of the city. So yeah, yep, completely separate.
And when you're
Yeah.
talking finance and it says utility, that, in, for a municipality, if it's a utility fund, then it can only be used for that particular item that's been designated. So we have a utility fund, separate utility funds for the water and the sewer. We also have one for the parking, downtown, things like that.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if the two waters
Mhm.
would,
Yeah.
commingle.
No, we do, Thomas, just for your info, we do share sometimes a lot of a project like the building that we'll be talking about next month, the building addition up here. That'll be a split. I'm not sure exactly if it's going to be a 50-50 or 60-40 or however we're going to do that yet. But we do try to share, equipment. For example, if we're buying a new skid loader, for example. I try to split that out based off of usage. So it might be a 75-25, 50-50, something like that. So we do try to share as much as we possibly can. But they are, for accounting purposes, two separate funds.
All right, do I have a move to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you,
I'll second.
thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, project updates and project status report.
So in your report, you're going to see this month, you're going to see a little bit something different here. The city council has requested that all departments on a monthly basis start kind of giving a little report on what's been going on in the last month. So the report that you have in your packet now is actually my city council, and I'm just going to use the same report for council and the same report for you guys. So it just kind of gives you a summary of what's been happening with different projects that we're working on throughout the month. So you can kind of see through there, the blacktop and restoration is complete on that north project. The Deer Path Tower project of 2025. We met with the carriers. Temporary poles are being installed, and design and bidding is expected to be completed late this year, with a spring start date. And then you've just kind of got the service center edition for 2025, kind of just being presented, or we're starting to work on that. Like I said, we'll hopefully be talking about that way more next month. So that just kind of gives you a little update on what's been going on. And we do not need, that's for information only.
Well, you can add to that last night, the council approved the study with the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission.
Yeah, that's more, I'll be involved in that once it gets kicked off a little bit more, but I know Mike Johnson is pretty much leading that at this point.
Oh,
But yeah, once we get into the weeds with that thing, then I'll be way more involved in that.
mhm. All right, thank you. Other business for informational purposes only or for an upcoming agenda?
I had nothing unless one of you did.
Any concerns? All right, let's move on to number 6, the utility cash reports.
So you've got the utility cash reports are in there. It starts with sewer, so you can kind of see where our fund balances are as of now, and then the same thing with water, where our fund balances are as of now. And that is with all of our the deductions that you're seeing in there, especially on the water and the sewer. That included the deductions included the cash that we paid for that whole North Street project. So that entire project and the Lake Malibu project which came into about just over 200 million, or 2 million, not 200 million, geez. Came in just over 2 million, and we did pay cash for those. So them are the balances on the cash reports as of I don't know, last week, I'm guessing, when they were submitted.
Any questions on the cash reports?
And that is just for information too.
All right, and now number 7, discussion and possible action on claims. Any questions about the claims? Oh, I wanted to ask about the coloring books.
Well, if you notice in my budget, last year and this year, I actually put in, I can't remember what I called it now. But we actually put money in there now. We get a lot of families that come in and pay their bills and things like that. And it's always nice to give the little ones a little something to do. The coloring books are actually water related. So it talks about the water cycle and, different uses and how to conserve water and things like that. So, it's just kind of a fun little thing for the kids when they come in, and, they can kind of sit and color while mom or dad are paying the bill, and then take them with them. So yeah, they get a coloring book and crayons when they come in now. So,
Sounds good.
and we use that stuff for tours that we give, wastewater and water. They give a couple tours a year to grade school children. We've actually got Somerset is actually coming in next month, later this month, I believe. They're going to be doing high school kids are coming in to tour the wastewater treatment plant and to tour out at Well 8. I believe it's one of their science classes or something along that line. So it's kind of nice that we get the kids in and, show them what actually happens, when they flush a toilet and turn on the water and different things like that. So yeah, we try to promote as much as we can.
Yeah, most people have no idea what what happens once they
Yeah.
use the toilet.
Yep, that is true.
Oh, good.
Yep, that's what that's about.
All right, any other questions about the claims? Do I have a motion to approve?
I guess move to approve.
Thank you, Pat. Do I have a
Second,
second? Thanks, Scott. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Motion passes. And last, adjournment. Do I have a move to adjourn?
You normally
wanna stay.
jump on that.
I'll move to approve for
Second.
adjournment.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have a second?
I think Pat did.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right?
We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month.